Now you've got your networkers in place, you're starting to put visitors at ease and lay the ground for building long-term relationships. But how can this new knowledge about people's intellects help deepen those relationships? You may remember from the book Unlocking Outreach that the biggest group of all are the PDs, the project directors. PDs are the doers, makers, and builders of this world. They're often engineers and programmers and university professors, but in the church they are the theologians and Bible studiers. But they also make good church administrators and organisers. They get the job done and do it right. PDs make up about 55% of the world's population, so it's likely that they make up about the same percentage of visitors in your church. If you could speak to them about Jesus in the way that makes sense to them, you'll make a deep impact very quickly. That could be crucial if you want them to come back next week. So let's look more closely at PDs and what's important to them. Whoops. Generally, PDs like to go deep. They want the detail and the evidence for the truth of Scripture. They don't want just the headlines. Unlike networkers, who we've looked at already in video 4, they are less interested in the people dimension of things. They want facts. They want to know there is substance behind the promise of the kingdom of heaven. PDs also like order and process, so they'll want to know that everything about the Christian faith is logical and consistent. Who's the best person to explain this to them? Another PD, of course. About 55% of your congregation are also likely to be PDs, represented by this red stick. That's more than all the other intellects combined. You may already know or can guess who some of them are, but have you got them in the right place in your outreach team? And do the rest of the team know who the PDs are so they can bring them into a conversation at the right moment? Use the questionnaire in the book in Unlocking Outreach to help identify who they are. Then put them in the right places where they can do extraordinary work. Where is the right place? It's to be watching the networkers and waiting for their call to get talking with the PD visitor. Essentially, if your networkers have identified a visitor they think is a PD, you should introduce them to a ready and waiting in the wings church PD. That means the visitors now already have 2 points of contact. One who is great at building relationships, the networker, and the other who can help them with all the information they need, the PD. Now you're covering both bases. Can you see how easy all of this is? You've removed the guesswork and randomness of the process, and you've taken the right steps just by following this godly methodology. Your visitor has 2 new friends who they can count on and who know what they're doing. They're in safe hands. Now, let's look at where your EQs fit in. EQs are 17% of the world's population. That's about 1 in 6, and the best way to think of them is that they often make good salespeople. EQs dress well, they make quick decisions, and they are often successful in business, and they are competitive. Whatever they do, they like to win. If you have EQs in your outreach team, they can be absolute dynamite. They are socially fearless, and they will ask questions that other intellects will be afraid to ask, such as, why don't you come to the next Alpha course? Or even, are you ready to give your life to Christ? but they are best used with other EQ visitors. So don't put them in front of just anybody. They might frighten them off. Hopefully you have some EQs in your congregation, represented by this green stick. If you have, they are aching to be pulled into action and in the right place. Remember, they love to win, and in Jesus' terms, a win means bringing someone to Christ. The right place to position an EQ is to bring them together with an EQ visitor. If you see a new face who is very fashionably dressed, with hair just so and expensive looking jewellery, you could have an EQ on your hands. They'll have limited patience for small talk and they'll want to meet someone important fast. Introduce them to your own in-house EQ and watch them get on like a house on fire. Check in on the visitor after a while because EQs move fast and they'll want to move on and meet more important people. Do not let them leave without making sure you or your church EQ has closed them on coming to another event. They won't respect you or Jesus if you don't close them. Now we come to the final group, the strategists, represented by this yellow stick. Strategists are arguably more important than any other intellect, possibly because there are so few of them. Also, they can make a real impact on your church if you can bring them aboard. Strategists are the ideas junkies. They like to articulate ideas and themes and how these flow together into a wider vision. They can appear uninterested in a lot of things that are attractive to other people. But if you get them on their favourite subject, you won't be able to stop them. Again, the right person to bring in front of a visitor strategist is your own pet church strategist. The church strategist must be briefed to get the visitor strategist to open up about their ideas and themes and not anyone else's. The church strategist can then compliment the visitor on the strength of his ideas before opening up about the big themes in the Bible and how Jesus was the greatest ideas person of all. Let's put the strategist in the team. Read the section in Unlocking Outreach for inspiration on how to engage a strategist with big themes in Scripture. It's time to get started. Remember, if you make some mistakes at the beginning, you'll still be doing better than if you did nothing at all. Now it's over to you.